Hi everyone, welcome back to the BDI vlog series. Got a really quick video for you today. It's going to be our 5 top tips to make sure that your visa application is approved. Okay, so our first tip, number 1, and it seems really obvious, but make sure that when you make your visa application, you have all of the documents that you need pre-collected and that they're all in date. So that's going to be things like your police clearance, which you'll need an international police clearance for in order to arrive in the UK. It's going to be your costs, so your certificate of sponsorship from your employer. So in our case for doctors, it's going to be the hospital. Make sure that it's dated within 3 months of your application date for it to be valid. You're also going to want to make sure things like passports have ample time on them. So I know a lot of the time these days, if you are about to switch to a new passport, make sure you've got at least 6 months on it so that you can travel and then reapply for a new passport once you're here. So obviously there's a lot of moving parts. If you're not yet ready, don't make your visa application. You won't be able to complete it. Okay, number 2, maintenance. Something that comes up quite a lot for our doctors is have the trust that's sponsoring your visa on your COS ticked maintenance. Now what that means is at the bottom of the cost document there's a little tick box, and it basically says that if you get into financial difficulty when you're here, the trust will provide you with sufficient funds to mean that you're not going to be homeless. So most of the time doctors will have maintenance ticks. If you don't have it ticked, you need to evidence that you've got ample funds in your bank account, which means that basically you're showing the immigration services that should anything go wrong or your job starts late or whatnot, you've got enough money to live, so food, accommodation, etc. The amount that you need to prove depends on the number of people who are coming across on your application, and you'll be required to prove that it's been in your account for the last 3 months or 90 days as a minimum. So really something to bear in mind, and if you are doing a quick check of your costs, make sure that if you can, where possible, get the maintenance box ticked. Okay, so number 3, kids. A lot of the doctors that we work with will be coming to the UK to take up a role, and they will bring their families with them. Now, we always advise usually that if you are going to come to the UK and it's your first job, it's a good idea to arrive on your own and just kind of get your bearings. So figure out what your job looks like, you know, get used to your rota, figure out where the supermarkets are, sort your accommodation, and then bring your family over after. That said, some doctors, you know, quite rightly, I have children myself, want their families to come with them from day one. Now, in situations where one parent or guardian is coming with a child who's under the age of 18, and the other parent is staying overseas in another country, so it could be that they've got work commitments or family commitments or whatever, you will need to get a letter evidencing that you have permission from the person who holds joint custody over the child to take them out of the country and essentially take them to the UK. If you are not able to get that, then you're going to have a big problem when it comes to getting your visa application approved for your child as a dependent. So make sure that you've got some form of evidence with the other parent or guardian if you don't have sort of sole custody of them before you make your visa application. Okay, number 4, making your visa application from a switch. So when we say that, we mean you're on one visa type and you are switching to another, or you're changing an employer. One thing that comes up quite regularly is people making last-minute visa applications when one contract at a hospital is finishing and you're trying to get switched over to a visa somewhere else. I mean, I'm quite a conservative person. I like to be as well planned as possible. Where you can, make sure that your visa application, when you're switching, so you're switching from one visa to another visa with a different employer, happens as soon as possible. You can make your application 90 days before you actually intend to make the switch. So it's always good to be well prepared in what job you're going into next, and obviously if you have family, that's quite a big consideration as well. So make sure that when you're switching from one visa to another, the visa that you are currently on has an adequate amount of time and validity before switching into the next one. The only exception to that is where perhaps you're on a fixed term contract and your visa has concluded, so your time in the UK is up basically and your job is finished, you would enter a 60-day grace period. In those circumstances, you'd be making a fresh visa application rather than an extension or a switch or an intercompany transfer to a different type of visa. So make sure that you've got plenty of time left. Make sure that you are not making yourself stressed out. Okay, number 5. It's a bit more of a rare situation, but there are occasions where you might be in the UK on a visit visa to visit a hospital that you're perhaps going to be employed by, or you're here to do a GMC ID check. Obviously with COVID at the moment that's not applicable, but maybe in the future. Be aware that if you are applying for your visa whilst you're in the UK on your visit visa, so that is essentially switching from a visit visa to a skilled worker visa, a tier 2 visa, be aware that you're going to have to travel home or to a country that you are resident in to complete your biometric residence appointment. So you can have your costs, you can do your online visa application, but know that there is a certain amount of time where you're going to have to travel home and then do your biometrics, leave your passport there, and then they will return it to you to the address that's on your costs before you can travel back into the UK. So it sounds very convoluted, but basically what I'm saying is be aware that you cannot do your entire visa application in the UK whilst you're here on a visit visa. You will have to go home to do the biometric stage and then come back again. Okay, so those were our top 5 tips for making sure that you're well prepared for your visa application and making sure that it's not going to be rejected. Little bonus tip for you: check whether the country that you're flying from, that you're currently resident in, is on the list of those that require TB tests. We have a lot of doctors, or not a lot of doctors, occasionally we'll have doctors who don't realise that they're going to require a TB test, and that will be in the form of a MAN2 test and then possibly a chest x-ray, maybe even a saliva swab. Those things can take months to gain depending on which country you're in. So bonus tip, make sure that your country is not on the TB list. If it is, make sure that you're prepared to get your TB test sorted out. And thanks very much for watching. If there's anything else that you want to raise, any videos that you want to see, blogs you want us to do, podcasts where you want us to talk about stuff, get in touch, let us know, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.